All right, everybody. I just want to welcome you to the Zoom call with my friend Tony. For my teenagers, I have been doing daily devotional videos, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I am reaching out to my friends, and we're just going to talk, catch up, and also ask them to give you a little bit of advice about the Christian life and about being a teenager and all of that. So I want to introduce you to my friend Tony Nguyen. We met at a Christian college that I worked at. He was a student, and so now we only live like an hour apart from each other, right?
Yeah, I'm in Naperville, and you're still in Northwest Indiana, right?
I'm in South Holland.
Oh, dang! So you're in Illinois now,
Dude,
right?
I'm the worst friend because I live like if me and you drove half an hour, we could meet each other.
Well, not even half an hour. It's like 25 minutes, right?
Yeah,
Right,
man.
now, everyone's in quarantine, so
Yeah.
it's like 20 minutes on 3 to 5. I'm going 100.
We've been sending memes to each other for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well,
And we refuse to see each other face to face.
Yeah, it was weird because when we were at the college where I was at, I was a room assistant, or is that what they call them?
Yeah, it's like it would be like a
dorm supervisor.
What do you call it? Like an RA, like a residence advisor, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but we called it floor lording. So I was a floor lord for a little bit.
Lord.
And we would have morning meetings, and like I'll say this about Mike's character. He was up and at him at 6. Your boy here was like, I'm barely here.
You're like, shut up, dude.
Whatever responsibilities you want me to take care of, I'm not your guy. So I'm just here to do the bare minimum. Somehow I was pulled in from the bottom of the barrel and brought up to this level of responsibility that you probably shouldn't have given me.
All right. So at this college, there wasn't a lot of like Asian people.
No,
and I feel like we all just like banded together.
Yeah. As soon as you saw an Asian, like especially on opening day, you're like, you and me are friends.
And it didn't matter what country your family originated from.
Nope. Are you Korean? Cool. I love Korean barbecue. I'm like, fuck, because that's where we're going. Let's go. We're
best friends now. That's how it works. And the thing is like, I'm the least Asian in the world. Like, I'm only half Filipino. I don't speak the language, but I will claim that till the day I die.
But also, you're from California, so I feel like everything in California is like a little watered down. So if you're like a Chinese California, like a Chinese person in California, you're not really Chinese, all right? You're just Chinese-ish. Right?
Whatever, man. Whatever. Thanks, bro. Just got my credit card.
Look at that black card.
Now, you remember I used to run that jiu-jitsu club?
Yeah.
Did you and me ever grapple? You wrestled in high school, right?
Yeah, we were that. I think you and I we did a couple sessions together, and then after college, I started jiu-jitsu back up again. I actually started up a couple months ago. Actually, funny story. I started jiu-jitsu in February, right? Like probably like the third week of February, and then,
this year.
Yeah, this year.
That timing, bro.
Yeah, no, hold on. It gets worse. So I get the flu the next week, like full-blown flu. I'm dying on Tuesday night. I wake up on Tuesday, and I'm dying. I'm shaking like this. I'm hallucinating, right? I'm seeing people walk in my room. I'm like, yo, man, I can't do this. That was Tuesdays and Wednesday. And then like the rest of the week I was shot. And then so I come back, I'm like, I don't know if I'm feeling it. And then coronavirus pops up and says, first confirmed case in Illinois. I'm like, this is not a good time to start my membership.
When did you shut down? When did they shut down your school?
Mid-March. So
yeah, like right around NBA, right?
Yeah, the doctor told me to stay. So once all my fever cleared, he's like, give another 7 days. Make sure you don't pass on anybody, especially your close proximity. So you can still transmit if you have any residual stuff. And so I was like, oh man. So the second week of March, I'm like, I'm ready to get back in. Let's do this. Let's go. I'm ready to continue my path to my first stripe. So in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, with your belt system, you'll generally get 3 stripes, and then you move to the next belt. So obviously I'm still brand new, and so I haven't got any stripes. And my gi is still stiff as a board. So yeah, and then Corona hits. I'm like, well, that's just my luck.
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like over 20 years, and I'm still a white belt. Like, I never train long enough to get a stripe. I'll go 3 months and then I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm like the world's most dangerous white belt. I swear, man.
will outshrimp any of y'all, man. Watch me do this.
That's it, man. I
Yeah.
always had problems with you because you were a wrestler with Mike Escobar. Pray for Mike. You know, you heard about his brother. Mike's brother
Yeah.
passed away, so pray for Mike. And then like Tim Baker, like all those guys who wrestled in high school. I was like, people think I started the jiu-jitsu club because I was like, oh, I'm the sensei. I'm going to teach. I just wanted people to roll with, man. And I know I got a bunch of 18-year-olds. I'm like, hey, you want me to train you to be a UFC fighter? And they're like, yeah,
I'll do it.
yeah. So I was like, come on down. So, I mean, I had unlimited training partners, man. That just worked out for me. That just worked out for me really good, man.
We pulled the mats out. I don't know if you remember so for whatever reason they pulled the mats out of the room and they put them out on the gym floor. And every so often me and Mike Escobar and probably maybe one of the person would go and roll for a couple hours, what seemed like a couple hours, when in actuality it was probably like 30 minutes, and we all got tired because we're all old and fat. So but yeah, those are good times.
Dude, you ever you ever meet Adam Marujo's dad, Mr. Foster?
Yeah, I did. I was in California for a wedding for whose wedding was it? Oh, I think it was his wedding. Adam's getting married to Connie, and
Adam.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, he's bald, he's walking around like he owns a place.
He owns a place. He's Master Foster. You know,
right? No. So I asked like, hey, who's that guy over there? He's like, yeah, who's that guy? He's like, oh, that's Mr. Foster. I'm like, who's that? So I get talking to him, and he doesn't need to tell you anything. You just kind of figure it out because everyone else tells you. And so yeah, I met his dad.
He's so New York too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, whatever. We'll go over there and we'll do the thing. And
if you're like, hey, he's like, he refuses to say pizza. Yeah. You want to get a pie?
Want to get a pie? Want to get a slice?
So this guy comes in. He's like on vacation. He's visiting Adam and what's Adam's little brother's name? Yeah, I just forgot it. Isaac. Yeah, I just right on top of my head. And anyways, he's there to visit, but for like 3 days during spring break, he comes down to the gym and trains with me for 3 hours each day.
Jeez.
He's like 50, and we're doing everything, man. We're boxing, we're kickboxing, we're grappling. And I mean, he was just rocking me, man. He was a tough dude. He was super cool though. Like one of the nicest guys I ever trained with.
Yeah, when we were in California, he hooked it up, man. He took it, like he paid for my hotel rooms. He's cool. I think I was walking by and I was like, hey, where are you staying? Because my wife was staying with Connie because she was in her wedding. And I was like, oh, I just got him staying at a hotel nearby. And he's like, he grabs the wallet, grabs some cash, like, hey, make sure you take care of yourself. I'm like, what? You don't even know me from a hole in the wall.
Yeah, he's so New York. He got like a wad of cash somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Just whatever. No, he was cool, man. He's cool. I got to catch up with that dude. So what are you doing now? How are you serving the Lord? What are you involved with?
Man, I got a lot of stuff going on. So currently where I work at Christianity Today. It's a print and online publication. I'm a web developer.
I didn't know you worked at Christianity Today.
Yeah, I'm a web developer, dude. You open the cover, my name's in the cover. That's all. I didn't want my name in the lights, but I'll take the print.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so I've been a web developer. I've been a web developer for the last 2 years.
Very cool.
Working professionally for this. Actually, I just passed my first year here, so very excited. Great place to work at. Really, it's nice to be at a place where you can be yourself. And I don't mean that in like the cheesy way, like just be yourself, but in the sense that as a believer, if you're one who's honestly striving for truth and growth, in certain workplaces you can't talk about our theology, you can't talk about our philosophy without either going against certain policies or possibly offending somebody. And not that is an argument of itself to be in a sequestered, like monastic Christian place where you're just kind of like hauled away, but it's definitely it's nice to be able to make dumb jokes, but then the next conference room, you can hear people talk about different concepts that are being argued against, or argued for and against within our own Christian world.
How old are you?
I'm about to turn 28. So
so I was just thinking about this the other day, and I still feel like like I don't have it all figured out,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like it was weird because, you know, I think, you know, like I started ministry right after college. I was like 24.
Mhm.
And it's almost like you kind of have this thing on you, like you're supposed to have it all figured out at 24.
Yeah.
And I still had a lot of questions and a lot of concept I was still trying to explore and figure out.
Mhm.
And it's nice when you get to a place where it's like it's okay that you don't have it all figured out.
Yeah. I think the undervalue of questioning uh, is scary sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
questions are not inherently dangerous. It's how they're handled, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, uh, one of the things that I found was to have really good mentors, and this is something that everybody needs: good mentors who can handle hard questions, but also guide you in the right direction. Because you can find a mentor anywhere, but the hard part is finding good ones. Um, I had a lot of questions. So coming out of college, or coming because I didn't finish. Um, I had a lot of stuff going on my sophomore year. Actually, that year my parents got divorced. I think it gets hard as you get older because you can kind of see that stuff coming. And so like I got really depressed.
Where you're like dealing with like years of the lead up to it.
Yeah, because you can
Yeah.
see it. You know it, right? And so so the beginning of my sophomore year, um, I hit a major bout of depression. I didn't even know until afterwards. When I was in therapy and just trying to figure it out. I was like, oh yeah, you had the classical symptoms of depression. You were very lethargic, no motivation to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
dark thoughts. Not suicidal, but dark thoughts. And but so at the end of that, that began me on a journey of questioning what what purpose did this have in my own life. And so for me, it wasn't like I was asking, is there a God? It was questioning the suffering that I was going through, even though it was none of my fault. But the
Dude, that's the number one question I get from our teenage. Just to give you some context, with our youth group, we have kids who's a lot of divorce, a lot of you know, dad's totally out of the picture type stuff, and that's the number one question that I get is why do I have to go through this?
Yeah.
They ask it different ways, but it all comes down to why do I have to go through this? Yeah.
Also, so to give more context and background to me, so I can flesh out this concept and then explaining out more. So my dad abandoned me when I was 3 months old. Mom just came here from Vietnam. She speaks 2 words of English, hello and goodbye. So didn't have a dollar to her name. And then the next dad, my brother's dad's, very abusive dude, beat me every other day for reasons I can't remember, and the ones I do remember, um, it's hard to think of and remember. Um, it's just hard to think of because every time you think of these things, it brings up very negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then so after about 10, probably 11, 12 years old, he leaves a picture, and we meet, and my mom meets my stepdad now. Fantastic guy. So I had this abusive, and then someone who seems like a godsend. And so all that to put that into is the 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 need for a good mentor can, if we're able to find a good mentor, it helps us live the Christian life the way it was meant to be. Because a lot of times, especially as the world sees it, they see Christianity as a thing of do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do this, don't do that, do this. Go to church on Sunday, say the right words, don't say bad words, don't drink, don't chew, don't run with girls who do. Right? Eh, when Christianity, when all Christendom for the last 2,000 years have asked harder questions, like what is the purpose of suffering? Right? Why do I have to go through this? Why is it me? I have done nothing to deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
And over 2,000 years, the answer doesn't. It's as clear as mud, right? It's clear as Chicago snow, right? The hour after. And it's not that God is trying to confuse you, because God is not the author of confusion. There is a bigger play that it's hard for us to understand. So me and my buddy been we're working at a church. You know, I work a lot with the young adults, and we develop curriculum and teach. And we're going through a study in Job. It started during at the beginning
Job's my book, man.
I'm quickly learning to love it for what it is.
Yeah.
So we started reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John for Lent, and we started for 40 days. We would fast, we would pray, we would read, and we just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John over and over. And then for whatever reason, I got to Luke 2, which is generally the Christmas passage, right? It's the happy one with the shepherds.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, you know, it's talking about for Mary and Joseph coming down to Nazareth coming down to Bethlehem from Nazareth. And so I was thinking, for whatever reason, I was like, I'm just going to read Job for half a second. So read Job. The first 39 chapters are depressing. It's why,
Yeah, bro?
Why this guy, right? He seems like
Yeah.
Like his friend, y'all should have messed with his friends. Out of the 4 friends, the first 3 y'all should have done something with them, right? They deserved it. And then you get to chapter 39 or 38, where Elohim gets up and starts, laying into them, and then God gets in there, and he starts asking them questions. He started asking the Job questions. It's like, where were you when I hung everything? Where were you when I put the light in the sea? Where were you when I put the clouds together? Now, obviously, some of that may be poetic, in the sense that obviously we understand that climate systems have been put in place by natural order. Of course, that God has put this natural order in place.
Right.
But it is not. It isn't. It isn't the question. It isn't the direct answer to the question that he's trying to get at. He's trying to get them to see that you don't understand the bigger play that's here, because through this thing that you're going through here, this moment in time, it's going to come. You're going to get here where that hurt becomes healed, and then it becomes something that is now of value, because now you're able to use this and help somebody else. In 2 Corinthians, it says we're given comfort, so that we can comfort others. It is a cyclical.
And here, let me just interrupt real quick. The other thing too is, like, when he talks to Job has all these questions, right? Why me? Why we, me? He doesn't even hint at it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even tell him the conversation with Satan. He doesn't tell him that spiritual background stuff. He just says, you just don't know what's going on, and you got to be okay with it. It's like, whoa. He's trying to teach him, like you're saying, like, there's such something bigger. You're not going to understand it all. You just got to have faith in God, that he can do something with it.
And the faith aspect, I think, to going back to Christianity is I will make this statement, and I will defend it, and I'll follow up with defending it. Christianity is the greatest philosophy. It is the greatest orthopraxy, which means orthodoxy means what you believe. Orthopraxy means what you do.
What you do
because of the orthodoxy.
Right.
And so it holds up with every philosophy, but not just at an intellectual level, but on a level that transcends it, so that it takes thought that we have, and that we interpreted through philosophies that have been generated by man, and then not only refutes it, but gives you a greater philosophy. For example, when we think about a general philosophy of life, one would say it would be kind to others. Good philosophy. That's a good way to live. Live and let live, right? As a as the saying goes. But what happens when someone offends you, when someone transgresses against you?
What happens when the person you're supposed to be kind to is a jerk?
Right. And so and so in our world, in our concept and perception of justice, it is one for one, which is why when you look at the Old Testament, it is one of the greatest foundations for law and order.
Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Well, not just that. What the nuance of that is that during that time, a prince, a lord, an executive, a landowner would be of more value than the peasant. So if the peasant were to, say, hurt a lord, the lord would oftentimes come back and execute justice and retribution as he would see fit. He would kill his family, kill his livestock, burn his house down, and that was justice. And people were like, yeah, that's cool. But what Old Testament
That's
did,
okay.
your eye is worth his eye.
Yeah.
There's no discrepancy in this. You are worth the same amount as he is. So when Jesus comes on the scene, and he says, I want you to love your neighbor. I was like, cool, that's good. Also, I want you to feed and give your enemies to drink. Now, the context is that the Romans were ruling all of Judea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like the economical an economic imperialism. It was you had legionnaires walking your street.
No,
It
they
was
ruled,
occupied.
and you
So
were different than them, and
yeah,
you listened to what they said.
you had
Yeah.
you were a brown guy that had listened to white guy from Italy and his homies from Italy, right?
Yeah.
So when Jesus comes in and says, I want you to live the way I intended for all this to be. What? No. But Moses said, an eye for an eye. All right, we execute justice. Like I'm gonna come and be the justice that's executed for you. I need you to start living exactly what I meant, the way I meant this whole world to be, right? And so and so you look at suffering, and you juxtapose it, meaning to put two things that compare together. What is it? What is my suffering meant to be? I don't know. That's that's the answer of Job. When we read Job, it's frustratingly ambiguous.
Yeah.
But it's also clear.
You know,
right?
I taught that book at the college for like 5 years.
Really? Yeah.
And I remember my first semester was like garbage. I had no idea what I was talking about. But then it was like, as you get along, and then I don't know if you remember this, my wife, she had really bad arthritis.
Yeah. Yep.
So you remember, you probably seen her with like a walker, with a cane.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was bad. So then it was like, I'm understanding as I'm teaching this book, like I would teach something that I thought I understood. And it's like, this does not match up with what I'm going through.
Right.
And I felt like God like kind of gave me that book to teach because I probably wouldn't have studied it by myself.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but it's right. You know, you just have to come to grips with the fact that, you know, it's not, God doesn't tell Job, well, let me give you the 5-step plan to why you were suffering.
Right.
It's like, nope. But, and that's the answer is like, you just have to trust him.
Yeah. And the trust is that God will always do the most loving. He will execute justice, and it's whatever is going to happen is going to be the most good. If we trust, and this can get a little philosophical. If we believe that God is love, if the Spirit of God, the abstract concept of love, which is goodwill toward others, if He is justice, which means equality and equity, to the nth degree, and that He will do what is perfect, meaning complete for all. Then when you insert that into a world that is this gnarled, weird, always turning, broken system, and you insert that, it's going to stop at a certain juncture, right? So if this is perfect and this is trying to get in there, it is some parts are going to not make sense, because when you introduce order to chaos, it'll always seem even more chaotic.
There's a lot of friction. You got this thing that's spinning hundreds of miles per hour, and it's like, okay, let me get a grip on it. Like that doesn't, God, I always kind of imagine it like this, and it's like a really crude way to kind of explain it, but we're human beings, and we can't, we're trying our best, but it's like God has almost been like, okay, I'm going to let you guys kind of do what you want. You can make the decisions and all this, and the world just gets crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, he's like, but I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make the most out of it for you guys. Like I really am.
Yeah.
Like I love you guys, like I really am. It does, you're not going to understand everything, but I'm here for you. Okay. So tell me something real quick, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. What do you think you said that, hey, you went through a lot growing up, and, it was definitely difficult. What do you think something real practical that a teenager who maybe doesn't have the home situation that they want, they've gone through stuff, maybe their parents are split up, whatever it is. But what's something really practical that they can do that's going to help them get closer to God and kind of make peace with the situation? And I know
So
it's not overnight,
right.
but like, what's something that they can do?
To make a very complex process as concise as possible, I would try to put it into a saying. You are the sum of your friends. You are what you read, and you are the habits that you maintain. The friends, the friends isn't always just your peers. It is your mentors, which is why I'd say it's critically important to find someone who loves Jesus, who lives a life that you want to replicate and emulate. I remember I've had many great leaders who adjusted, who by the grace of God adjusted and taught correctly, that marriage is not this thing that is meant to give you anxiety and despair, that it is not a pit that you just settle into.
Did you have a lot of anxiety before marriage? Because you'd seen.
No.
I mean, did you like coming into it, were you kind of like, not like right before your marriage, you know what I mean? But like maybe when you were younger, like you're trying to figure out you don't know what a good marriage looks like, or you're trying to figure it out in your head.
Well, I remember probably 6th or 7th grade, I would ask, why is this even worth it? Why would you? And in very simple terms, right? Because I couldn't process everything that was going on. But I remember, Francisco Garcia, he said, marriage isn't a union, isn't a thing in which you can get. It is a thing in which you can give. So which then taught me that any good relationship, and also a good person, is selfless in nature. So generally, if you find a selfless person, they have a generally good life. And in the subjective terms that we would put it, right?
Yeah.
They have high quality relationships, healthy relationships with people. They find general satisfaction in life because
it's not all about them.
No. And Jesus later says that in I think I'm pretty sure it's Matthew. If someone tries to keep their life, they're going to lose it. You hoard something that is not is like sand. It's going through your fingers.
Dude, I love preaching on that to my teenagers, because it's like, and then he's like, if you'll lose your life for my sake, you're gonna find it.
And so you follow through, you follow that line of thought. Jesus, what do you mean by that? And the disciples oftentimes ask that. It's like, hey, so Jesus would preach this amazing sermon, right? He preached to the 5,000, and then like literally a half a second later, James would be like, me and the guys were just wondering if you just explain that a little further, right? And they'd often ask that, right? And so when Jesus later says, if you take care of the least of these, you take care of me, right? And right, and that was all the later thought of be a selfless person, was that when you live a life that is void of yourself, not in the sense that you are self-deprecating and you have no value,
you don't hate, right,
but you value everyone else because you see the image of Jesus, right? You see Jesus on the face of a person, and you're like, if I give to you, I'm giving to him.
Well, how did God tell? Okay, God was like this. They asked Jesus, what's the greatest commandment, right? And he's like, love the Lord, all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, all that stuff. But then he's like, what's the second? Okay, love your neighbor like yourself, okay? Because he knew, it's like, oh, okay, I understand that,
I don't think y'all gonna play me like that. Nah.
Like he didn't say like hate yourself, because he knew, like, no.
Love him like yourself. What do you mean? Like, I didn't get this chunky by having one serving. Let me tell you that. All right.
Hey, so I've been teaching on John, the book of John. I do like this little video series for my teenagers. And it's like John chapter 3, John chapter 4, going into John chapter 5. Every time Jesus is talking about something spiritual, they never get it. Like, it's like, he's like, hey, Nicodemus, you got to be born again. He's like, you can only be born one time. It's like, okay. Hey, woman at the well, I'm going to give you water. You'll never thirst again. He's like,
where's your bucket?
That's her response, is like, you don't have a bucket, dude. Like, it's always like that. It's funny to me.
But therein lies exactly what Christianity is. It's pragmatic as pragmatic can get, right? It's useful for everyday living,
Yeah.
but also there's a level of thought in which it will contend with the grace philosophers
Mhm.
from any discipline, any thought school of thought, which is
All right,
why
hold up. I don't want to get too off track because we'll be here all night, bro. Me and you. Okay, so you were like, you're the sum of your friends,
some of your
and you were
friends.
saying it's important that not only you just gather good peers around you, which I really stress that a lot to my teenagers, but
Mhm.
also you find good mentors
Yeah,
and you attach yourself to them. You
yep,
should say, hey man,
100%.
I've got to learn from them. And then also you said something about books. You're talking about what you read.
You are you become what you ingest and what you speak, right? Scripture says, what defiles man isn't what comes in, what comes out. And
Mhm.
oftentimes what comes out is what you've consumed, whether it's through media, whether it's through social media, whether it's through literature, whether it's through video, and whatever content you're
The
taking in.
memes.
Oh, the
The
memes. Oh, so good.
memes.
Oh, they purify a man like no other. Uh, and so having good mentors is a very necessary thing, but also there is the need for personal development, right? Um, I don't think I'm the most talented guy. I feel like I have no talent, and the only thing I have is the ability to read and be able to figure things out.
Figure
That's
it out.
that's my only talent. If you ask me, Tony, how do you code? I can tell you now, step by step by step, exactly how I learned to code.
You're not John Sue.
Oh no, that guy came
Oh
out
my
with a
gosh.
keyboard. Oh, here we go. Right,
I don't think he even uses. He just touches the computer and he's like
bro.
one with it.
Bro, he has a neural uplink we haven't figured out yet. And as soon as I figure it out, it'll be too late because
John's amazing.
we're already back.
Yeah, John's
So,
amazing.
and John's such a great guy. Actually, he was when I first started my coding journey. He was the guy I reached out to, and he really helped me out. Really helped me
That's
out with
cool.
mentors.
That's
So
cool.
it's funny you bring that up. But certain books, obviously, scripture. That's first and foremost. And with that, I would really encourage all of you guys to take the time, read scripture, read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Just read about Jesus. And I want you to read this. Just listen to the story. Now, I'm not saying do not take the spiritual and the wisdom and the knowledge that you are going to get from it, but read it as the story so you can see where this fits in the entirety. Because once you read the Gospels, you read how this central event leading up to the crucifixion and the subsequent resurrection, those 3 days are the most important days of all of history. Because
Crazy, right?
if those days never happened, history isn't what it is today. So those 3 days are crucial to all of mankind. And then from there, if you go back and you read Genesis, you see God, you see Jesus, because Jesus is God and the Holy Spirit, they're all three in one. You see him as the author of all things good, and that you see man mess up, right? And then you go to Revelation when he comes back and he makes all things good again. So so you read it as a narrative, just as you would read any of your schoolwork. Read it like that. Take time with your mentors. Ask them, hey, can we read through Matthew and talk about these concepts? I'm walking with a guy now, and we're reading through Mark, and there's a part where he said where I forgot what was it, where he talks about these heaven and earth will pass away, but these words will not pass away. And for whatever reason, he got hung up on it.
Oh, you're paused,
And just
bro.
as important is the study of it, where you can sit there and take this portion.
I'm about to lose
What is it?
connection, bro. Hold up. I'm about to lose connection.
Because the ultimate teacher will be the Holy Spirit. And so take time. You're
There we go. You there, Tony? I think I lost you, bro. I hope I lost you, man.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
still
man.
recording.
Okay, good.
I had an unstable connection.
Okay.
So it messed up. I'm sorry about that.
All
right, so hold up. So you were talking about peers and then reading, and then what was the third thing that you say? I forgot.
Oh yeah, habits you maintain.
Habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing for I felt like when I came to college, I was a very undisciplined person.
Mhm.
And I just was like, I was scared to death of that. Like
Yeah.
so I really worked on my habits because I wanted to have that foundation of, of character. Like
Mhm.
these are things that you just do that become
Right.
part of your life because that's such a valuable thing to you later.
Right.
You don't think it's important when you're a teenager, like making your bed every day is not important,
Right. There's
stuff like that.
a good clinical psychologist out there who helped kind of coin this phrase. If if you want to change the world, go make your bed. Go clean your room. Because if you can't,
Jordan.
yeah, Jordan Peterson, yeah,
Yep.
if you can't keep this one place, for most people, it's what 8 by 12. That's a big room. 8 feet by 12 feet. If you can't keep that space in order, what makes you think you can put the rest of the world in order? And so,
I literally, man, I will throw that in once a month to our teenagers, like make your bed.
make your bed.
Because
Start there. You start that, and when someone asks you, "What did you do today?" You don't have to hate yourself and say, "Ah, they done." Well, I cleaned my room.
I
My
cleaned
room's
my
clean.
room. Yeah.
It's in order. My world is in order. So then you can start then putting the world back in order. Just as God gave us the directive to put the world in dominion and submission. Um, and
Okay. You know what I think too? Like whenever you start habit building,
Mhm.
like it always leads to like more. So like when I was a freshman in college, I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to make my bed every morning, right? And that took me a while, right? And then I'm gonna learn how to like keep myself in order. And I'm gonna learn how to do this, learn how to do that. But now it's like, okay, I have a reading habit now,
Mhm.
and I've been off of my exercise habit. But if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it, like I already know what it takes to do it.
Right.
Like it's just all these other things. You're like, okay, when I come into work, these are the things that I do.
Mhm.
Like it's just, all of that. Like if you start with a little thing, like you said, you make your bed, it's gonna, you just control that. You change that one little part of your world, and then it just gives you more power to change more
Yeah.
parts of your world as you
Well,
grow, mature.
Jocko Willink, a former SEAL commander,
Jocko,
has this phrase.
check,
Check, Roger.
check.
Oh man! As soon as that guy gets on the mic, I get chills. But he says
Right.
he has a phrase: "Discipline equals freedom." Now
Yep.
that seems paradoxical, which means it seems like a two statements that can't be true.
Seems contrary to each other. Yeah.
So, but the explanation when I heard it made perfect sense. If you have discipline, if you are able to put your body and your mind under control to do what's necessary, you get to do what you want, right? So if you want to start a business let's say for me, I grew up very poor, right? Food stamps and the EBT card, like that's what was our thing. Like I didn't have Visa, I didn't have MasterCard. I was Illinois Link, right? If I didn't want to continue that cycle, I would have to figure out how to discipline myself to learn, right? Going back to the first two parts of that saying, I had to figure out who here is good with money, right? What resources did you use, and then put those actions into habits. All right. And so if you're able to do that by the time you're 27, 28, me and my wife are looking to buy a house here soon.
Cool, man.
If we didn't discipline ourselves, right, we would not be here. We don't get to do what we want. We are now. So if you are a slave to just your whims and your impulses, you will always be slaves to those.
Right.
So you don't get to do what you want.
And your desires, they're a terrible taskmaster. Because the price you pay is not just, oh, I want to buy this one thing right here. It's like, nope. It's also, you don't have the money to save to, like you want to buy your home. You don't. So then you just have to rent it, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. All right, man, Tony, I got to cut it off, bro. This is going to be super long for our kids. I think they'll like it. I hope they listen to the whole thing. And I appreciate you, taking the time to do this. We'll definitely do
that. Anytime.
All right, I'm going to hang up, but stay online, okay? I'm going to stop recording. So, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I hope that you listened to Tony's testimony. He shared part of his life, but also he gave you some good points right there. Watch who your peers are. Also your mentors, like find those older people that you can latch onto and follow their example and then getting wisdom from them. Secondly, and I say this all the time, start reading. I spent most of my high school in libraries, believe it or not. I really did. And I learned to love to read books. And I think that's been an asset and a help to me in my life. And then thirdly, look at your habits. What are you doing every single day that's becoming a part of you? Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate your friendship, man. I'm glad that we
Of
could get
course, man.
together, and I hope this is a blessing to my young people. I'm sure it will be.
Hopefully, yeah.